order, the Griggs County Commission on May 18th at 1 o'clock. Stand for pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. John.
Here.
Dale.
Here.
Mark.
Here.
Sean.
Here.
Joyce here. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda as presented?
Could I add the museum in there for a little bit? I don't know if that's something that, they've got a picture they'd like to hang here at the courthouse
Oh, yeah.
until they find a place for it. I think it has to do with the old courthouse, kind of a picture of that and that sort of thing that they'd found or was given.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented with the addition of museum.
Been moved by Dale to approve the agenda as amended. Is there a second? Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Take a look at the meeting minutes from the 4th of May.
I wonder if we shouldn't define what the letter to the North Dakota DOT was.
What was it? It was the engineer's selection for the bridge project, right?
Come up, let's see. Okay, should we rephrase it? There was discussion on a letter to the North Dakota DOT recommending Cadamus, Lee, and Jackson to fulfill consulting services for the upcoming project PCN 21-480-58.
Anything else?
Is blading spelled B-L-A-D-I-N-G or is it an E-I-N-G?
I think when it's
You drop the E when
I think so.
Yeah.
ING right there.
It wasn't any good at that point.
Move to approve the minutes as presented with the correction made to the DOT letter and dispense with the reading.
Been moved by Dale to approve the meeting minutes as corrected and dispense with the reading. Is there a second to the motion?
A second.
Second by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Move on to the bills.
Is that the last payment on the Citizen State?
It is, yep, and it was due on Tuesday, but they're going to backdate it so that we don't have any late charges or anything, so.
Have we heard anything on that at all?
I thought there was going to be an offer coming. I got a text or an email from Stacy here, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I thought.
Otherwise we get default on it.
I haven't heard anything.
But I haven't heard anything since.
Okay. Page 7, $650 for the register expense. What is that?
Regional Corrections. That's for Stutzman County Correctional Center. We must have had somebody down there.
Okay.
Prison board.
We must not be going to Barnes anymore. It's not safe anyway. It's not safe anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're running a business that's charging money for your services and you drive customers away, I don't know if that's a wise move.
It is if there's no consequences and you don't have to work as hard.
Yeah, but temper tantrums are never a good idea. Never get you anywhere.
Oh.
What's the T&K sales?
What's that? Tom Gilbertson?
Oh.
Tom and Katie?
Okay.
Oh, I bet that's for fixing the hood, isn't it?
You're repairing the truck.
Yeah.
That's where I go shopping on Saturday mornings, Biff.
What's that?
That's where I go shopping on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
I love that place.
That's
Where
why
was
it's
that
under
at?
general.
Huh?
That's why it's under general expenses.
Page 7,
What's that?
out in the middle.
Your shopping spree.
Oh.
19,980.
No, I don't get. You guys don't get to pay for it. I have to.
Oh.
They got more tools up there than you can show.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's what they do. T&K sales.
Oh, didn't know that.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
they got a semi-trailer up there. It's just completely full of stuff.
Really?
And I like buying big stuff that you don't use very often. It's way cheaper, like my impact sockets and stuff like that, than bolts.
Didn't know they did that.
They've had a
So they got like a van, semi-van?
Yep, they've had that thing's been on the road forever. They stock Finley farmers in the, out at the gas station and stuff. That's where all that stuff comes from.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
Been moved by Mark to approve the bills as presented. Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carries. Oh shit, I forgot to bring my voter deal in.
Your palette or your application? Do you want me to print you out an
What's that?
When's the deadline?
Just enough time for me to give you your pad and get it back.
I filled out that
Oh,
ballot application today and then I forgot sitting on my counter.
oh, that was last week. Out of luck.
Throw it in the box.
Okay. Wayne.
A hearing swing, so. We have a letter there, a contract and contract bond letter from the DOT for this thing. And Jeannie, I think Samantha, I don't know. For Riley Brothers for the construction of the bridge. Number. For project BRO CMOC 0020, parenthetical 032, 5 miles east, 1 mile north of Cooperstown. And I think Jamie got it early enough to take a look at it. Then we've been having, in conjunction with this contract and stuff, we've been having emails and faxing back and forth. They wanted notes, from John and from Dale, and I got those and faxed them in. And I got an email back saying they couldn't read Dale's. It was written with pencil on a paper and it didn't copy very good. So I just rewrote it again this morning using their words with a pen and sent it in to them. So that should be good. Once they get this signed and in there, then I think we'll be talking with Paul and we'll be working on the project and stuff to get everything lined up. And it sounds like it's gonna be in July after they started. Pretty much the same form that we signed sometimes as the project called it also. The bond. County auditor signs, chairman.
You need a motion to approve that, or do you just automatically do that? Also moved.
Been moved by Mark that I and Jamie be authorized to sign.
Auditor.
And
And the auditor, you're on there too? The
One of them.
federal aid contracts for the replacement of the bridge east of Cooperstown. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Troy votes aye. Motion carried.
Oh. What we got
Go
now?
ahead. I got more, but
Go ahead, I'll just look at it.
I was just wondering about advertising, trying to get folks to put insulation and steel in their shop building, if I can go ahead and do that, or?
Might as well get quotes anyway. We'll know what we gotta do, how much money it'll be and that sort of thing.
Just exterior or interior? Or what?
It's the exterior,
Next year.
Got
Yeah.
stud it and then
yeah, stud it,
Fur.
4x4 studs, and then insulate it, and then metal sheet, and
But where's the money gonna come from? That money's gonna be used for to pick up the slack in these graders.
Graders is 96,000 approximately, 3 graders.
Well, no, there was a $265,000 hole that was getting blown in the budget because of that, and we were gonna use those funds to try and make that up.
Well, we were taking the 150,000 from the contractor and then from the gravel. There's road gravel. We had 130,000 for the budget, 130,500.
There's these
Outside contractor, we had 150,000.
But, you know, I, whether you do it, are you thinking then we should hold it off a year and do it next year? I mean,
Well, it's gotta be money to do it, or we can't do
Yeah.
it.
but I mean, if you're going to,
Here's
I know how it works with these public buildings. And if we don't take care of them, then it'll be, the next thing we'll be looking at is a new shop.
But
you know?
Mark, if we don't have the money to do it, we don't have the money to do it, and evidently we decided to spend the money, transfer the money that was supposed to be done
Yes.
for these things to these graders. There is no pile of money somewhere to go try and do this. I think that point was made over and over and over again,
Yeah,
that we're gonna have a budget that doesn't have anything left in it because we decided to spend the money elsewhere.
And if we have, what is that 1.7 million, which was over $2 million in the liabilities for the road department? I know that's deep.
Okay,
It's
so.
built on the budget for this year.
No, but, okay, so
Alright.
what happened there was, that's in and out money, but it didn't get treated that way. So let's just say at the start of the project, the Senate and House bill money was $3.2 million, correct?
Yes, but that has nothing to do with that.
It has everything to do with this.
Because none of that
Everything,
money is in there, that money is in business.
let me finish. It got put into the budget, $3.2 million. Then when we spent part of it, the money that was left got put in the budget again, but the $3.2 million, when we closed out the budget, was still there and got carried over. So we doubled up on it. The next year we did the same thing. We shouldn't have used carryover plus put it back in the budget for the following year, and we did. So in essence, we doubled the $3.2 million into that fund. And because we used it as income, and we also used it as carryover, and it was the same monies. But don't shake your head, Wayne, we did, I can show you on
shake my head
paper.
because that's not true, because that House bill and Senate bill money has never been in our account, other than when it comes in.
Wayne, that money is not in our account. That is a result of the budget that the GovernSoft gets put there. What I'm saying is, we posted it to GovernSoft twice by doing the way we did it. I can show you. I mean, I'll show you exactly how it was done. I'll show you how it was
Samantha?
done.
What?
Can you help us here?
Sorry.
Okay.
Is there money in that account in the banks that totals pretty close to 1.7 million?
In the liabilities, yes.
Yes, which is.
But it's not money in the bank, Wayne. We populate the account by the money that we can spend, not the money that we put in there. So here's what happened. So let's just say in 15, $3.2 million. And we budgeted that. We spent, let's just for conversation, let's just say we spent 1.6 of it. In 16, now we took this 1.6 that was carried, we took the 1.6 that was carried over. Let's make this 1.8 so it's easier. We took the 1.8 that was carried over, and we put it here as carryover. Then we took the balance of this, the 1.4,
And because we were gonna spend it, and because you have to state what you're gonna spend in next year's budget, we took this 1.4 and we put it over here in money to be spent. So, now we increased what was originally 3.2, now we increased it again, carried it over again. And each year, until the end, we're gonna keep doing that. So the money, as we populate this, the money that we get into the GovernSoft account, which doesn't go into the GovernSoft account, we don't put money into that account, we budget as to what we can spend. And that doesn't mean that it carries over. A budget is to be spent for that year and that year only. The reason it just keeps building up is the reason I've been preaching forever, that we should not carry over, and the budget guidelines don't want you to carry over. They want you to just wipe it clean and spend what you're gonna spend. And we haven't been doing this. That's why we get that number.
But you're never gonna get that exactly to zero.
What's that?
You're never gonna match that perfectly. There's always gonna be carryover.
That's right. And then it goes back to the treasury. And then because the budget is only
But
what
that
you're
money
supposed to
can't
be
go
spent.
back to the treasury.
Because it's not there. That money's not there.
So,
It get doubled up. We keep doubling up on it. We keep using it over and over and over again.
So we spent the $3.2 million.
No, we haven't spent the 3.2, but we don't have 1.9 of it left either. We've spent down to $500,000, but the 1.9 is still carried over in there
Oh.
because of because the accounting, the way we've been doing this.
And Harold didn't catch it?
It's caught if you look at the value of Griggs County. The value of Griggs County didn't go up by the 1.9 million. That's not there. So the value of Griggs County went up by $400,000. But it still is populated in GovernSoft, because GovernSoft is not an account with money in it. GovernSoft is just what you can spend for the upcoming year, and it should be wiped clean every time. But because of the way we've been putting this back into the budget, we've been populating it with more money than actually there.
At the end of the month, last month, we had 1.9 million in the road fund. That is any taxes that have come in last year and this year. So that's what's in the fund right now. Budget wise, we have, at the end of each year, I put what Harold had as a balance, and we populate that, and that goes against the levy.
But you don't put any money into the budget account. The money stays in the county account. The budget is just what you can spend out of there.
Yep, and then when we do the budget, when I do the balance January 1st of 2000 and it would have been 16, because we always do the year before, then I put that what Harold had on his audit and put it in there.
So we have left what we can spend. We budgeted what, $3.2 million? What was the expenses for this year?
Expenses 2.4.
Okay, 2.4 is what we get to spend for this year.
Right.
How much have we spent for this year? You're saying we spent 500,000?
Let's go. Road, we have spent 354,000
And what do we have left to spend?
on 2.1 million.
No. What do we have budgeted left to spend? What's in the budget that's the money we
2.1
actually
million.
have.
2.1 million.
Right.
That's what we have left to spend.
No, what expenses? Now we have to weigh that against the expenses that we have in the budget. So everything that's budgeted is all we have to spend. We don't have an extra $1.9 million in there.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Okay, if you agree that there's $2.4 million that can be spent in the road budget this year.
Yep,
That came from compiling expenses
That's what you guys budgeted for the road department. Yep.
Okay, so,
You've spent 354,000.
okay, out of that money now we have directed the appropriation of $280,000 that elsewhere.
Well, part of it was in the budget. Right, are you talking about the blades?
2.4, right. Well, not actually, it's a wash because we had to come up with the extra $70,000, which was matched the payment anyway. My point is, there is no extra money in the budget. We don't carry money over from last year's budget.
No, I know. But what was this, how big a project is this, do we think?
We don't know. But my point is, you can't take Governsoft and look at that and say, here's how much money I have to spend. You have to look at the actual budget, see how much money was spent in the budget, see how much money was in there, and shuffle things around because there's no extra money in there. Each
No, I know that.
dollar has a line item.
Yeah, I know.
Yep, and that's all in Dakota programs
Okay,
too, like
so my
line
point is,
item wise.
for this project, how much was budgeted? How much do we need to fulfill the budget for this year? And how are we going to start building up a fund to take care of the oil and things like that, the federal projects?
You budgeted 100,000 for building repairs.
Mhm.
He spent 2,500 out of that, so he has in that line item 97,000 left to
Okay,
spend.
so if we're gonna spend that $100,000 and we're saying we're not gonna spend any money on gravel or any money on outside.
That's what Wayne's saying.
And then there'll have to be 30,000 come from somewhere else. That sound right? Well, I mean, because we're gonna have, the blades are gonna be we're gonna have a big payment there.
Two of
Is
We
them.
paid for the blades for the 72,400, we paid that already. And I budgeted 110,000 for equipment. So we still had 30-some thousand left to pay on the 96,000 that we're gonna be paying.
But the 74,000, where did that come from? That wasn't the budgeted
Out of
item.
the budget.
Yeah, it was.
Huh?
There was 110,000 in the budget.
Oh, you use
I
that,
budgeted
right?
110,000.
Yep.
Right.
So there's 38,000 left in there,
And we're gonna have to, when we get the blades, how much are we gonna have to pay?
96,000.
Okay.
So
So
there's
we're
gonna be
60
60,000
short.
that's gonna have to
Yeah.
come from the gravel or someplace. Yep.
Yeah.
Gravel, you have 130,500.
Or outside contractors.
Or outside contractors.
Or whatever.
With 150.
Yeah, it was, when it was all said and done, there was $260,000 for this year we were gonna be short. That was, so that is the
Yeah,
gravel.
that was if everything was spent in the budget.
Right.
Everything
Correct.
was budgeted.
If everything was, that's right, and that's correct, and that's correct. So then we need to decide, maybe we do this project, but when we do it, we have to decide, it's taking money from somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we already took money from somewhere else on these blades.
But I don't think it costs anything to find out how big.
No,
How
yeah.
big a project
No,
it is.
I don't think so either.
At least what supplies are. I think the guys are talking about putting it on themselves.
We could even do it ourselves. but-
See how it
Better
goes.
if you get
Let's
somebody
get
in there
somebody
to
in
get
there.
it done, they can get it done in a few days.
If we do it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, there's no,
And
But,
then you get started, and then you get busy with something else, and that doesn't get
I
better.
want some advice too.
and then we're the warranty for it, and,
Warranty? You get a warranty?
Well,
I've
I
never
mean,
gotten a warranty from a contractor in Griggs County yet.
What gauge of steel did you use on your building when you did that one in Binford or?
I don't
what you
remember.
pulled on or-
It was a commercial grade, so it's heavier.
Cause you don't want somebody to bid some little like.
22, I bet.
No, that's residential.
28 is what they're using now.
Oh, I think that's, I
22.
think on that bank building I did 16 gauge, it's heavy stuff.
Oh,
It can't be that heavy.
Yes.
I wouldn't think so.
The roof maybe is 16 gauge.
16 gauge, you could weld it.
Yeah.
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 Maybe the roof is 16 gauge.
14. I bet it's 22.
Seamless, 18.
Oh, it's a standing seam.
Mhm.
That's heavier, but that's really expensive.
Yeah. I think that's what it is, 16 or 18, it's heavy. But anyway, that, I don't know for that sure.
But if I can advertise it, then we can see what the
Bids are-
prices are, we don't have to accept.
On an application like that, you really don't need you don't have to be real heavy because it's
It's just
not,
a sidewall.
Right.
Unless you, but you don't wanna, yeah.
But then it's gonna
Lean
have,
stuff against it is the biggest deal with that.
That's right.
I hate that.
and then
It's nice if you do something like that to have about a 4-foot wainscot or a separation, so that when you bang up the bottom, you can replace a 4-foot piece of it.
But it's probably gonna cost $50,000-$60,000 of that.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Maybe more.
Find out, then we can.
And we can talk when we see it.
And we don't have any outside contractor that we're gonna need? And we're not gonna need a gravel.
Well, the outside contractor, you know, that's what you're talking about.
Is, right,
Is budgeting that much each year or collecting that much, put it in the budget so you
For the
can
federal?
take that income.
Yeah.
And then carry it over to build up a fund.
That's
so
right.
that you can match a paving project or a chip seal or something like that. You have to have some money in reserve and a fund for it.
which brings
Carry
me
your
to,
projects.
right, which just brings me to the question I was gonna ask when, at the end. I've had 3 or 4 calls now about sealing the Sutton Road. And is that on track for this summer, or when is that due? And if it is, then that money is supposed to be allocated to that project.
I think it's 2019 is what it is set up as now. But we may have to, we don't have any federal funds really built up, you know, because we borrowed ahead to do the last projects. So we did more miles than what we had money for.
Yep.
To get a better price. So we may not be able to do it then. We will be sealing cracks this year, but it's not gonna, it's probably still gonna be black, you know, if they're worried about it being black.
No, I think they're mostly worried about the cracks.
If the cracks will be there anyway, but.
I think that's what they're worried about.
Because I was disappointed when they did that by Binford and the Red Willow Road, and, you know, the cracks sealed and the cracks were still there, you know, they don't put enough oil down to soak in anything anymore.
But that's the point. If we're not gonna do that, then that money's available. If we're gonna do that, then that money really isn't available and has to come from somewhere else, notably the building fund.
Like we talked about before, we do have 3 piles of gravel.
Yep, I understand
So we
that.
would have enough there, 130,000, take
No, that,
60-some thousand out of there to cover that. So,
that was, so are we going to then not budget every year for this federal funding, which is the outside contract, or are we gonna, I mean, if we start using that when we have time for a project, are we gonna have the money for the project?
Yeah, sure.
if we go ahead and do the project ourselves and we didn't get those state funds or federal funds, then, you know, we'd have to have the whole 100%. But otherwise, we just have the match of 19 point whatever percent it is.
Right.
20%. And we have to come up with local funds, so we have to have some money in a fund.
Right. Right.
That's where in the old days, when it was highway distribution or highway was a separate entity, basically, that money stayed in that highway fund and it built up year after year so you could match.
And
It was a lot easier to keep track of instead of throwing it all into one.
And why the state wanted it all into one, I have no idea, but I would be in favor of, come budget time, of putting that back. And that's more to the point here, that if it's not there, it can't be put back. I'd like to move it over to, whatever we call it.
Yep, yep.
Reserve account?
Well, yeah, yes and no, but I mean, just because it took quite a bit of discussion to get to the point where we decided what this money was supposed to be used for, it seems we keep forgetting what it's supposed to be used for.
Mhm.
If it's into a separate account, we can't even make that mistake again. And there's always a temptation to say, well, I have money left here, we can use it for the projects that's most pressing right now. That's not really a budgeting process. So I thought at the budget session, at the budgeting cycle this year, it'd be nice to move that money into something so that it was a known entity.
Specified for certain.
And if we're gonna do that, then that money for this, that we have to make up this year, has to come from somewhere other than an outside contractor funding. But as Mark and Troy said, it doesn't cost nothing to get bids.
Buildings uses 26 gauge steel.
Or what?
Morton uses 26 gauge steel.
Mark's probably right, 22 is probably commercial.
So yeah, there's got a call from Mike Tucker. He's a Federal Railroad Association or Administration, and he was talking about that with the bridge out there again. It's leaning over, of course, and BNSF is after them to do something about it. But he said it's BNSF's railroad or bridge, so they have to be the one to really go ahead and fix it. They don't. Oh, it's leaning over, of course, and then he's got the first pillar shimmed 10 inches, and then 6 and 4 and 2. But he said, it's not your bridge, he said. And I said, well, a couple of years ago, we discussed this whole thing. We had commissioners and township supervisors and the railroad, I said, and
Everybody.
and we were not in favor of taking it out. And so, see if you can do something. I said, it can't be that much to dig out and put in pour in the floor.
You'd think you'd pour a column in. You can pour a column in there if you want. I mean, you think, but you know.
It's all just
Dennis Elgins?
The artist too, right?
The other one by Campbell's,
Yeah.
right north of Bob's yard.
That's all I have. We do still have the Evers, what we call it, County Road 5 south of Binford closed off. The pour up so bad, but we blocked it off. And then I was thinking about taking the low limits off, but no, it's raining, so and they're still soft. The state highway still has theirs on too.
County Road 5, is that the one that goes by like Fred Adrian's old place?
No, if you go west of Binford, the first corner where it goes down past
Sibley.
Evers's, the Sibley Lake across.
The road
West
west of Sibley Lake there. We used to go right past the Hall irrigation's on the west and Sibley
Okay.
Game Refuge and right. It goes down to the south and then turns back to the west.
West and then south past Common Plants and
Yeah, then if you want.
south past.
Yeah, we went down another mile, then you could turn and go south past Colony Plants.
That's still open, but it's just as far as the intersection south of John Evers.
Oh, wow.
You know where Gerald Plant's place was?
No. But I thought when you turn and go south, right where that trailer house is there,
Oh, that's
Where-
further.
that's further west,
That's further west.
where Sievert's daughter lived?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's
I'm too far west.
You know where the pile of gravel is west of Binford? Then go south there.
Oh, okay.
So I'll make a motion that we put the building up to bid.
Been moved by John that Wayne collects bids on insulating and sheeting the county shop. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Do you have a plan now going forward when we have 3 machines instead of 4?
We have, I've tried to work out schedules. I've looked at the number of hours that you're gonna get on the machines by working 3 machines 6 days a week. If you work,
No, the state uses comp time. Can the county do that?
well, you know,
We
we
can, but we took it away.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys took that
to
away.
use that. You know, we were talking about working, 3 people would run the machines for 4 days. Then the other 3 people that are gonna run the machines on Friday and Saturday would have to work Wednesday, Thursday on something else, but they wouldn't be able to work on Monday and Tuesday. So it doesn't look like we're gonna get anything done other than waiting, because
Well, the blades don't move all the time, Wayne. That's obvious by the number of hours that are on them.
well, we've been working 4 10-hour days. Now we're gonna work 6 10-hour days, so obviously it's gonna be, a fourth more at least. So if it ran 6 8-hour days, that would be 1,440 hours blading in one season. And of course, we know that it just rained, so we couldn't blade for 2 days, but
Why?
it was wet. Can't blade in water.
It hasn't rained yet. Today it hasn't rained. Not at my house.
We don't work Fridays.
Oh, yeah. So last week it rained on Tuesday, did nothing on Wednesday, went out a little bit on Thursday, locked the place up tighter than a drum on Friday, come back and slid dust around on Monday. That doesn't work.
We're not
That-
farmers. And I'm sure you don't work every day in your bank.
Could we activate the GPSs again, just so we can get an idea of, over in the long run of, as you said, it rains, and so we get an idea of what, we can't expect to work 40 hours a week in 4 days. I know that, because there's gonna be a rain date or something, whatever. So we can have a discussion on this. Could we activate the GPS now on those machines so that we could at least get a running start on how it's gonna work? Would that be a wise thing to do?
Is there a cost?
There is a cost to it. And there is a cost to it, but maybe they could start the subscription 3 months early, and
Does it so far?
and just have this a start of it and just roll it every year. Because then we can actually see how we're doing, how much time it's gonna take, how much work we have left to do, whether or not we're gonna have gaps in this thing, whether or not we're gonna be running over hours. We do have the ability to buy more hours, I assume, from talking with them.
Absolutely.
But until we actually have some hard figures, and every year is gonna be different because of the season, rain and things like that, then
Sure.
The only way to make a decision on this is to know exactly what's taking place, I believe. And maybe, not every county works 4 days and 4 10s. Maybe that is a change. I don't know. Maybe the comp time is a deal where I don't know. There's everything changes. Nothing stays the same.
We did have comp time at one time, but then nobody could take time off because there was always something to do. So you had your vacation, you had comp time. This was just a few certain people had that. And so then they ended up selling the comp time back to the county for money because they couldn't use it up.
Well, I mean,
And this is a situation I don't want to be in, and I won't. But I tried to work out, and we're trying to work out. The guys are, willing to do things, whatever. But so far, I haven't got the solution. I guess. I set up a whole thing where, like you had, John.
Yep.
You rotate.
Yep.
You're on. You're off. Some guys are off for 3 days, and then
and
you come to work. But then the thing is, then those days you're off is days like now that we grabbing, sealing cracks, fixing the signs, doing culvert work.
Yeah.
Well, then, in order to only work 40 hours,
That's
can't be there every day of the week.
that's
Somebody's gonna work Fridays or Saturday.
that's why it would be nice if we could have some kind of comp time system where in the winter months where there's sometimes nothing going on, if those hours, if they could just stay home all day and those hours could somehow transfer to summer. I don't know if that's possible or not.
You know, like in the summertime, or wintertime, then there'd be no point to being there 10 hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, or even 8, I mean, you know, sometimes not even 8. If, you know, could an 8-hour given up in the wintertime be moved to summertime? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, you know, that's what we're kind of faced with, and you know, in the private world, stuff like that happens. I don't know about in the public world if that can happen. Sean would have a better idea on that than I would. But in the private world, it's just, okay, here's what needs to be done. And the owner of the business says, here's how I'm going to do it, and then they find people to do it. I know that can't happen in the
I guess DOT is kind of a prime example. They put tons of hours in the winter time. You know, most of the time they end up selling their comp time back because they can't use it up, because then they roll into your normal, you know, highway work and stuff in the summer. So, yeah, but then there again, it's what kind of winter you have. Some years they pile up hundreds of comp hours, and some years they don't hardly do any. So.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been working on it. Somebody has a solution.
Well, I think part of the problem is we're talking absolutes here. Same as when I did it on the board, we're talking every day the maximum 1 hours are going to get worked, and we all know in practice that can't happen because of weather and everything else, right, and working conditions. So I think, don't you think you just kind of play it by ear until we get to a point where we can figure out what's going on?
Let's see what happens when we switch over to 3 machines. Even towards fall, you don't blade as often probably because you're starting to wind down, get rid of windrows and stuff like that. Just have to see how it plays out.
And then, you know, we can download, again, I think we should start the GPS now so we can download the times on them. And so
I think that's a good idea. It could expose some efficiencies that might make the process better.
It might make it better. It might show some complications where we can't do it that way. But at least then we know we're not guessing how many hours have been put on them and where they've been put on. And
They make out a time card every day.
yeah,
And they're right on there.
yeah,
They did County Road
Oh, yeah.
5, County Road 8, County or Township or whatever, you know.
yeah,
And then there's a half an hour of service and half an hour of drive time and
yeah.
usually half an hour of shop.
Right.
So there's an hour and a half.
And you know, there's again, we're going to get the service, so we may as well use it.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll do that. I can ask.
Just ask them. You know, just bump up our start date to now, and you know, because we probably don't need it at the end. You know, we'll probably know what if the schedule worked or if it didn't by then.
Yeah, but I think it's more to it than just,
How much time does it
the
take?
schedule.
Grease and fuel.
You know, if a person has a breakdown,
It depends upon,
You know,
there's certain days where
we
you
could,
service.
maybe it'll be quicker. Because I think they get that information too, don't they?
Absolutely.
Usually a half.
So-
You know, any flags. that
Yeah, they monitor
goes
the
up,
machine.
It
Yeah.
sends it right. It sends it right to them.
Hey,
Yeah. If maintenance,
tell if
everything
your-
getting done,
You can tell if your engine getting.
That's right.
You know.
that's right.
I was, their blade
So,
was going.
the cost of these machines,
About 3:30.
the less breakdowns we have, the less we're gonna run 3.
He had quite a bit of time left. in the
We're gonna have to keep 'em going.
Not enough time to do anything else.
I don't know which day that was. Sometimes rather than start out a new thing, and I don't know if he was, well, they also, they trimmed the cutting.
You're showing me.
No, sorry. I was trying to
But-
figure out my cap.
And also, I think that
You're holding up the sign.
they talked about that it would do billing for us also, if we laid it over a township or over the county,
Claims he has one set of cutting edges. and
that I think we could make it.
Beneficial.
Yeah.
$1,300.
And feel free to, if I could send.
Is that something, Wayne,
Yes.
is that something like with the billing with the GPS? Is that something that maybe it'd be a less paperwork for you? Is that something that would be just sent right to Sam, or how would that work?
I don't envision it working because how would you do it? There's the blade going out there still gets billed to the township, and the blade going back still gets billed to the township and was doing township work. So it'd be kind of
A lot of times we just the other one day
yeah.
for one special purpose.
Yeah, that's why it was so important that I really wanted them to get a schedule.
Right.
You know, if the townships could have sent that in, we could have,
Getting a rotation.
yeah,
Right.
or a rotation or not.
And you're not going out there, coming back, and then going back
And then the
out there
next
2
day.
days later, or
Yeah.
whatever.
But to your point, I don't know what the system looks like, but on our systems in the airplanes, you can punch the button when you start a job. Punch it and it'll bill it until you punch it again. So if the system is sophisticated like that, then it would work real well for that.
Would it be, can you, so let's say they're blading through Tyrell Township and then they come into Cooper, can you
Absolutely.
push the
Absolutely.
button when you go across the line?
Absolutely.
And it'll do
Yeah.
multiple billings?
Let's just say I start out, I'm doing job A.
Yeah,
I punch A, and I go until I cross the line, and I punch A, and then I punch B, and it'll bill there. And I go until I cross that line, and maybe I'll go to C, I punch C, and then back to A. Yes, it closes out, it keeps everything.
Would each township then have to have its own letter or something?
You just assign it
Account number,
Yeah, using
or
an
account
example.
name, or
you assign
whatever.
it a code, yeah.
Person should go to like RDO or whatever and see exactly what.
Have them set up. I'm sure it can.
You can probably do way more than we can imagine. Most of those.
Yeah.
Even with the airplanes,
I
even
can't
if
imagine
airplanes,
that
if
it
you
would,
lay it in with a
actually,
map,
with the way she
it'll,
is now.
we do it on the federal side of it. If we're fighting a fire and there's federal, state, and private lands out there, they want to know where we're at. Well, it'll lay the boundaries in there, and if the airplane crosses that boundary, it'll then keep track of the time on whose ever land it was punched in to be. So the townships would be real easy. When you cross over to the next township,
yeah.
Yeah, once you map it, it should be.
Right. It's amazing what that stuff can do, but to sit down and try to figure it out, no, you gotta have RDO and come up and you tell them what you want to make your life easier. It's not supposed to make your life more complicated. It's supposed
Yeah.
to make it easier.
Yeah.
And a lot of
then
times, you know,
punch it in.
they make like a round and a
Yeah.
half, they call it.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
down, turn around, come back,
Yep.
come back. Spread it.
Yeah, no, it would.
Not to-
I'm sure it's got the ability to do that.
And, yeah, that's
Might
the other
be a phone
thing.
call and see if they can-
Some townships like it done one way and then the next one likes it done differently.
Right. And then it would just, in the printout, when you loaded the whole thing up, you would assign, you'd give it the name of the township, and when you print it out, it'd say how many hours, what date, when you did it in that township.
Like Sean was saying, sometimes we drive,
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
know, up to Lenora, or wherever Jake does, or Romulus.
And 2 days later, you get called
Yeah,
to the
you
neighboring.
find
yeah, the one right next to the,
And then you could also have it with the, I'm quite sure, because you can with the airplanes, when it's the blade down or the blade up, you know, it can tell you if it's revenue producing or not, and
Speed would almost tell you that, wouldn't it? If you're in transport or if you're actually late.
the airplanes, it's just, you know,
Oh.
it's hooked to the lever, so
Right.
when you dump the thing,
I mean, on the graders,
so. I'm
Take a
sure.
slow drive home.
But it could make
making money.
But if you set it up wrong, it can make you way more work than
Sure.
it should. It's supposed to simplify things. And of course, with the federal government, it doesn't simplify things.
Well, they're probably already doing it, and they probably got a techie that could probably set it up pretty easy.
Well, they do.
Okay, anything else for Wayne? Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you, guys.
Museum?
So I'm not wearing it.
it's my understanding that the museum has two pieces of, if you want to call it history, that they're looking at, they'd like to store here on account or hang on a wall until they have a climate-controlled environment. One, I believe, is is a picture of the
Mona
old
Lisa.
courthouse. The other one is a clock that was at the, I think it was in Almclose in the 1910 or.
How long have they had this stuff?
The clock is in Florida now, and it's coming this way as a gift to the museum.
Oh.
And Jan Steffen would know more about what it was called and that sort of thing, but it's supposed to be quite an elaborate clock, I guess. Now, I notice our courtroom is quite bare. I don't know if something like that could be hung in the courtroom or wherever they.
It's like a grandfather clock.
It's a different name of thing than I've ever heard.
Oh. I don't know if you're giving us enough information to make a call, but I would say that you wouldn't want something in the courtroom that's.
That goes boing. Yeah.
Cuckoo,
Yeah.
cuckoo.
Might be fitting.
Or the pictures. Yeah. Time. But it
Defense risk.
if whoever wants to make the decision where it can be hung or where it can go, we can go for it.
Okay.
But they need a place for both these items that are climate controlled. I don't know. I assume it's our permission that we have to give to put in here. It might already be hung up. I don't know.
I heard no.
Oh.
I heard that the museum was giving the court or the county that picture of the
Oh,
old
is it?
courthouse to
Is
go
that
in
how
here.
it-
That's what that was my understanding.
Oh, okay.
But
So,
maybe
I mean,
something's changed. But it was supposed
Okay.
to be like a gift to the new courthouse of
Okay.
the old courthouse.
so it'll get hung out in the lobby or something.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were.
I mean, that's where all that other historical stuff is. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
John will do it if they bring the busy little farm up here for us to play with too.
You know, and there has been discussion about the old log cabin. What are we? I guess it's our decision on what happens to it.
We wanted to move the auditor's office there before we built this one.
With the drive-up window.
So,
Cool in summer, warm in winter.
because there has been talk of starting a pioneer village or something like that down at the museum,
Oh,
and if that would be, if it's even in good enough shape to move, I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't walked up to it. Did that get put there? It got moved there from someplace?
Yeah, I mean, I can remember when it got moved there, so it isn't.
I'm not as old as John, so I don't remember that.
Maybe you didn't get the town very often.
I mean, I don't know when, but I mean, when it was moved there.
It's
It was.
70s?
Old Pine?
Yeah.
Old Pine Map cabin.
Where was that from?
No idea.
Says on, yeah. I don't know.
There are some other log cabins around
Yeah.
too. That,
Well, that one down in Meyer and Erickson's yard, but that one fell down, kind of.
yeah. So I don't know if that's something the commissioners wish to continue to have, or if that's something that the museum was to pursue. If they'd
Well,
be.
I wouldn't mind letting the museum have it if they take that sculpture with
I'm
it.
gonna take the rock.
That sculpture was made out of an oak tree from my farm.
Oh,
Yeah.
you can have it.
You can have it.
Yeah, we'll send it back to
And
them.
the rocks.
Well, we'll see how. We'll
That was
Put it in
Everett's
with
sister
discussion.
that was in charge of that thing.
Put it in
She's
the middle
from-
of that thing out. But
Where's she from, New Hampshire or someplace?
The same ones that built Stonehenge out there.
Oh,
I
They're
don't
done
think
at the same time.
they're not done yet. It's supposed to be a grizzly bear when they're done.
yeah. So is the commission would feel all right with? So should we? Is that something the museum should continue to pursue? The thinking about the cabin.
I think if you guys want to do that, I think you should, like, take some kind of action at your
Yep.
at your meeting, and then just have a request for the county commission. Because I sure don't
I'm in favor of it, so.
We just didn't
Yeah,
wanna
things-
butt
Probably
heads
be
to-
better preserved there than,
Right.
People maybe more see it or something. Okay,
Well, that's where it belongs, I mean, it is.
yeah,
you gotta make a B&B out of it.
who knows? Rental property.
We can get a place or something out there.
A what?
A tank.
A tank or a artillery gun
Oh, airplane?
or a plane on a stick. They don't care. It's hard to get there nowadays.
We had a plane on a stick in Velva. Well, they got one in Finley.
Yeah.
Cooperstown doesn't have nothing like
They
that.
don't have even helicopters back then. Helicopter and that.
That sounds like something for the veterans.
Doesn't Annetta have a
Yeah.
helicopter too, or they got a plane?
There's something.
They got a jet.
Yeah, working on
Oh, we put it right in the grain box on the stick.
Bobcat.
it. Where would they put it, Mark?
Would they put it in a building?
Well, I think there's been some talk about trying to get together like a pioneer village.
Oh.
Inside or outside?
Outside.
Well, they just sold their land to the Dollar General.
I don't think they ever had that property, that museum.
Oh, the park.
Yeah, park board had that.
That's what, I saw the deed.
But the barn at Mardell that was moved, that was from Mardell, there'd been some talk about trying to get either that all moved or front or some part of it.
Where's it at now?
The barn, if you take that road where we're putting in the bridge, and you go north and it kind of curves, and there's a barn next to the river.
It's actually on the left side of the road, isn't
Yeah,
it, when you're going
yeah.
north?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know where it's at.
Yeah,
Right on that little curve there.
and
Right by Vegas Oz there.
I've asked Bob Brooks to take a look at it and see if he could move it. But I think it's in a fair amount of dirt too. So to lift all that and to move, and maybe all that we can salvage is just the front of it. There's been some talk of that too. So, but if they could move that barn, we have a fair amount of horse equipment that and possibly store that.
She could
in.
have Art Nelson barn and moved to town. That would be better yet.
Well, they're also working on taking pictures of barns in
That's in Steele County.
Griggs County,
They won't.
because I said we're not so long away from, there won't be any left from the turn of the century and those sorts of things. So
There's the old fire hall in Binford, that's from the turn of the century too.
yeah, I mean there's a fair amount of projects that they're working on at the museum, but so much of it is volunteer work and that sort of thing, so it doesn't happen very quickly. We're lucky to have the volunteers we do have there. So, but it's a pretty neat little place for a little community.
Okay. County bank accounts.
I just need a motion from the commission to get Christie's name taken off the bank statement and add Patty Smith's name.
As a signer.
Yep.
Patty Smith is
She's the new deputy
Treasurer.
treasurer, road and
auditor.
treasurer, road and extension.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Back down.
Yep.
She was married to Perry Osmo.
Yep. I think we had that
Okay.
specialist. You need a motion for that?
Yes, please.
I'll make that a motion.
Been moved by Mark to take Christie off of the bank accounts as a signer and to add Patty Smith. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dale. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Letter from the state auditor regarding the 16 audit. And the bill, was that bill in the?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
They always come up with something. They just,
Oh, yeah.
It's all about how you talk.
Okay. If there's nothing to do on that one, old courthouse, new courthouse.
See somebody trying to do some landscape work on the.
Looks like, yeah, Brian been planting some grass out here where they put that dirt.
Did we ever talk about anything about the concrete out front? Is that what's causing that to flake like that, or does anybody have any idea?
It almost looks like it froze, but I don't know. Was it that late when they poured that? I don't think so.
Late, wasn't it?
No, I think it was hot out.
yeah, I wouldn't say it froze. It looks to me like they sprayed too much water on it after they and washed it down. That's typically that's fall in like that. Or
Did it get
or overworked it.
right?
You know, if you over troll it or over work it, it will do that.
Cause it's all the way. It's not just a spot. Yeah. Is that something we gotta fix, or is it we're just gonna leave it the way it is, sweep it off, and that's the way it'll be?
You know, some of those new high-powered screens, it vibrates so much. If they don't
Sure.
move them fast enough, it just vibrates, and it vibrates it paste right to the top. There's no
Yeah.
rock or nothing in there.
The green.
It does that. They call it overworking, but that's really what it is.
Okay.
They don't move those things fast enough, or don't have enough of it in front of them. That's what it is.
Okay. That's too bad.
It is.
I mean, we could call Brock and
Yeah.
see if he has any ideas.
Would you like me to do
You
that?
want Samantha to call him and have him come look at it?
Yeah, that'd be good.
See what he says anyway.
Okay.
I sure don't know what happened. There's several ways that you
Several
could make
ways.
that happen.
Yep.
If it got too hot that day and it got away from them, or there's
Yeah.
because then they start putting water in it.
Typically, you don't see that throughout the whole slab, though. You see that towards where it's getting away from them, and they're
Right.
on one end. When it's,
Yeah, the
I'd
whole-
say it's just I'd say it's a power screen that did it, but
I don't remember what they were using that day either. I
don't
wasn't.
either.
Were they one of those self-propelled ones?
I don't know. No, I don't mean to troll. I mean to screen. Just level it off.
Oh,
So if you run those things real fast and don't have enough in front of them, and they vibrate so much, they vibrate the
I don't even remember what.
paste to the top.
I know the first year you don't want to use a lot of salt on it, but
I don't think that's it.
you don't think that's it?
I'm from looking at it. It looks like it's just that real pasty stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
John and I are going to meet with David this afternoon. He's trying to put in something in the paper next week regarding this ballot initiative that we put on the ballot
Oh,
to try to get people's opinions of what should be done with that courthouse.
And I called it an expert.
Huh?
I called it an expert.
And John called it an expert, so Ron is here too. I went back through his website. There is a ton of
Yeah,
documentation
it's-
back there.
is Ron back?
Yep.
I thought I saw him drive by.
So
So
Everything went good for him and
Yeah, I think it's better.
better.
I think so.
Ready to go in the field.
I think that's what he came back for, to help Steve. He'll be back for a couple of weeks away at Summerage. Yeah. I don't know if new courthouse is the right place to talk about it, but everybody's aware that Lori's leaving? Okay.
Egremont.
Yeah.
when is she done?
Today was her last day, but she is going to come in 2 days a week to help me until I find somebody new.
So, for me anyway, that brings up some questions on how we're going to do this staffing. Are we gonna try to combine some things? At least have that discussion because the budget time's coming up. I talked with Samantha about the possibility, strictly the possibility of having a deputy auditor / recorder. And I'll have to say Samantha was listening to me, but it wasn't too responsive. She did, I don't blame her. And I talked with Kelly afterwards, and she was definitely not in favor of that.
I know we've talked too, Sam. Is there any chance that you think that Lori would go part-time? She didn't, or you don't think that would work?
She told me that she would be able to come in 2 days a week.
Oh,
I really can't make that work.
okay.
I really can't make that work.
I think you can.
I
She made it work by herself for 4 months.
but I came in and I was working from home and
But I think part-time will work, but part-time meaning one person here, full-time split between the two places is easier than 2 days a week is all you get.
That's what I'd like to try.
Well, that's, so there's someone there
Yeah,
for the recorder and for the auditor. It's just, how do you share that work? Is it 8 hours here and 8 hours here, or is it, okay, we'll do here, back and forth? When the auditor, the recorder has a full-time deputy right now, recorder / clerk of court. I don't believe that's necessary, but that's.
she's got 4/5.
Yeah, 4/5, but that's something for budget time also.
well, and same with our state's attorney, as a full-time secretary,
Mm-hmm. Now, we did save 1/5 in this new arrangement because there was 2/5 at the county agent, there was 2/5 at the treasurer, there was
Yeah.
2/5 at. So we did save 1/5 there, which is something, and that was done
Absolutely.
voluntarily by the.
Yep.
That was good. Could that same thing carry through now with the sharing a full-time person between the recorder and the auditor? I don't know. And who would that be? How would you do that?
Of what I understand, it wouldn't work to have state's attorney and recorder share on account that you have to have 3 separate entities. For example, the court has to be separate from the state's attorney. And just like the sheriff's office has to be separate, they talk about like the 3 divisions of government kind of a thing, conflicts and those sorts of things.
Well, there's no need to have a deputy clerk of court. It's only
Yeah,
a 1/3
yeah,
position
yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
And certainly the recorder and the state's attorney would fit together.
I think you run into trouble with that. I think
We've been running into trouble with making changes for the last 5 years, and every time we perceived that it was trouble or were told it was trouble, it
Yeah.
never turns out that way.
There's no way there can be a conflict between a recorder and a state's attorney. That's not possible. The recorder is recording documents.
sure.
It's not possible.
And besides
If there's ever a question, the state's attorney would have to answer it anyway.
but we're not even
Because she's
talking-
not a lawyer.
We're not even talking the
I know.
recorder and the state's attorney. We're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
a secretary sharing work between them.
I know.
There cannot be a conflict there. The only way there could be a conflict there is if someone wants to convince you there's a conflict there. So, Again, it's gotta be a group decision, but I am going to be in favor of not having a deputy recorder
I was just gonna say, isn't there gonna be tons of reduction, or there is already work on that end, right?
2 years ago, the recorder's
Duties
duties
changed drastically.
and we did not make any staffing changes because we wanted to allow attrition to
Work
to
itself
do
out.
that. And now that we've had attrition, I think we should take advantage of it. So that's my 2 cents. This month is a little bit of an abnormality in the recorder's office because there's a whole bunch of deeds from Red Willow Lake to record. But usually there's 40 to 60 items to record in a month. You can't tell me that's a job. There is no way you can tell me that's a job.
2 or 3 a day, average.
I'm just saying. You know, unless somebody just needs company.
It would have to be a sharing system some kind, because it might be on an hour-to-hour basis on who needs help, the recorder or the auditor.
There's busy days and not so busy days.
Yeah.
I just feel that that's the way it needs
It would
to
almost
be
make
dealt
sense
with.
to have them in the same office with the deputy sitting there.
Well, yeah, we tried that.
Well, and we didn't try hard enough.
So
What do you think, Sam? What did they used to say? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I'm pleading the fifth.
I mean, would it be possible to have a sharing of personnel?
well, how can't it be possible?
Is there a certain amount of specific knowledge for doing each job?
Our office and the recorder, clerk of court office, we really don't have, we don't even have the same system. They don't even use Dakota programs at all. So it's 2 different systems that way.
How many different programs do you have?
I just use Dakota programs.
Okay.
I don't know about Kelly's office.
How many different programs would she have for recording documents?
I'm
One.
not really sure.
You know,
Well, I don't think we're necessarily talking about a deputy for the clerk of court.
The recorder too. We have totally different systems too. I guess
okay.
they're totally.
So what?
Right. And yeah, that's the clerk of court isn't even a function of Griggs County.
Yeah, I understand that.
And although they impose a certain set of stipulations that the office has to be open 8 days or every day, and there has to be somebody available, it also gives us the option that if we can't sustain that we can just tell the state and they'll take it back.
It's their business.
But there's no reason why we can't have somebody in that office that can at least answer a phone or do whatever else might take to do that.
Reason I was asking about the programs is because there's other jobs that that probably work with 5, 6 different programs that they'll use to get their work done throughout the day of different types of things. So I would think that people learning the positions or learning how to run it, I would think they'd be able to learn how to run these different things, that way. It's time-wise. Because when you go on vacation or somebody goes on vacation, you still have to be able to run the whole office. when someone's gone,
Mhm.
you know?
And, you know, and I don't know how that would play in, you know, we have a different person in the clerk of court, recorder's deputy position now, Christie's in there.
Yeah.
But she knew beforehand that we were possibly gonna make some changes there. Has anybody talked to her? What's her opinion on this?
I just relay your guys' messages to her.
Right. But I mean, not messages to her, just what we've done, but
What do you think, Dale?
I think we should be able to fill both offices with one person.
Share between the two?
I would think so. What is, you know, you go over the elevator in Finley, what is it, $100 and some million business, and they have 3 people do all the paperwork? I don't see that this is that big entity that can't happen.
the reason to be a little bit overstaffed, I mean, I don't believe that there needs to be a half a person extra in the recorder clerk of court's office. I think one person could do that real easy. But continuity of service, if someone quits, to have someone come in there whole, like Samantha had to do, is really a chore.
Yeah.
And so you got to give a little bit on that, and that's why I think it would be fine to have a half a person there. But
And right now, Christie's learning how to use everything in that office, and she already knows Dakota programs, so she would be a perfect fit for that
so
shared position.
that brings the question is, she probably doesn't want to be full time. So then, do we abide by her wishes and make it a 2/5 position?
That's
Or 1/5,
that would be up.
1/5,
I think
3/5,
that's up to the elected officials at that point.
or 1/5, 3/5.
No, I mean, if she doesn't want to be if she doesn't want to be full time,
Yep.
and do we make it a full time position, or do we make it a 4/5 position to fit this situation?
At that point, I would let the elected officials make that determination.
We have to fund it.
Yep.
Okay, I see what you mean. So
They're going to make the budget request.
So if they say full time, we okay that, and Christie doesn't want full time,
They can make that decision.
they were the ones that made the decision. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else? Future business?
When do we start the budget process? Is that next?
June.
Sam's got a schedule and a whip.
The department heads have to have their budget into me by June 15th, and then I will input all of the numbers and get them all ready for your guys' June 22nd meeting. And you'll have the 22nd, the 6th, and the 20th to do budget stuff.
Okay.
That's it.
Good luck.
After we put Sam completely in charge of it, she's in charge of it.
Well, the sooner it gets going, the better the outcome can be. There's time to get
Yep.
to think and make some changes.
Yeah.
She talks big now, but I think she'll be whining later when she can't get everybody to get their budgets in.
I did a letter that said that this is a hard deadline. You have to have it to me. Otherwise, it's up to you guys whether you want to fund it or not. So I've said it. Like this is what it is.
Well, the way the new code is written, if you don't get your budget turned in, you just get what you had last year. I
No,
mean,
you still
you
have to turn the
can't
budget in.
you can't get more than you had last year.
Yep.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe because you missed the
Deadline.
the deadlines for informing the public is what that amounts to.
Okay. Anything else?
Have you been helping the Historical Society with their budget?
The,
Historical Society?
I have not.
Okay. They've typically been kind of tardy once in a while, haven't they?
Okay.
I usually don't get anything from those other entities. Usually they call me, I don't understand, and then,
Yeah, they get their so many mills and that's what they get.
yeah, and that's kind of where a lot of them are, but I still need to receive something
And
and.
the state just frowns on that because budgets are not supposed to be done in mills, they're supposed to be done in dollars, and then a mill is equated. So that's why the state's
Sure,
doing this.
I see
That's why
that.
the state never tells you what a mill is worth until after the budget deadline. They're trying to wean people
Those
off of
prices
just
out.
going, right,
Spending everything that's available.
right.
Okay.
That's why the state never comes out with
Okay.
what a mill is worth till after the fact, but, you know, a lot of the entities don't even do a
Yep.
budget, they just get their
Yep.
end, and here's what we get.
Yeah.
Put it in the checkbook and we'll take care of it for you.
Library, kind of same deal. Okay.
If
Oh, the
there's
library
surplus-
is egregiously worse than everybody else
So
in
if
the
there's a
world.
surplus, just keep it carrying over and carrying over and carrying over, and then we go to school.
Yeah.
Or a new hospital.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved by Dale, seconded by Mark to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Right.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 2:28 PM. That's 18th day of May. Next regular meeting, June 8th, in this room at 1 PM.